They left for a big family trip without me, 4 cars, 17 people, and a secret group chat. I woke up alone. 2 hours later, my sister's text exposed their plan. I canceled the $12,500 booking, and by morning, I had 101 missed calls. One word: emergency. So last Christmas, my uncle joked, half serious, half laughing, saying something like, "Must be nice to not be included," after I offered to foot the bill for our family dinner. I laughed it off, thinking it was just a joke. But this year, on December 23rd, I woke up to a house so quiet it felt like someone had wrapped it in silence. No texts, no one knocking on the door, no delicious breakfast smells wafting through the house, just a strange emptiness. The living room was pristine, except for a stray charging cable and a couple of pine needles by the door. My suitcase was still parked in the hallway, untouched since my last business trip, toothbrush bone dry, wallet undisturbed. I figured, hey, maybe I was dreaming, or maybe everyone was just running late. So, I called Mom. She picked up on the second ring, like she wasn't surprised or anything. "Hey, where is everyone?" I asked. There was this heavy pause, the kind that hangs there, and she said, "We thought you were with your cousins in the van." I was speechless. Just like that, they'd all managed to leave for a family getaway, 17 people in 4 cars, and no one even realized I wasn't there. No calls, no one checking in, not even a saved spot for me. Mom added, "I swear Zach told me you were in the car too." Maybe there was a mix-up. Another awkward silence followed, and I just hung up. No yelling, no questions about why I wasn't in the group chat, or why I was left out of the planning. Even after I'd chipped in $12,500 to book that Airbnb in the mountains on my credit card, I wasn't even counted. A couple of hours later, my phone buzzes, and it's a screenshot from my sister Emma. I could tell it was an oopsie, meant for her friend Caitlin. It was a snapshot of the family group chat, 17 names, plans for the trip, and underneath, her message read, "He's really not here, OMG, our plan worked." I just stared at it, didn't reply right away, didn't call back. I sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, logged into the Airbnb account, and hit cancel. Bam, the refund was processing. Money back on my card in 3 to 5 days. Then, I shot back a short message, "Merry Christmas." No fluff, no emojis, just something they wouldn't forget. 30 minutes later, my phone was blowing up. First, 42 missed calls, then 70. There was a message saying emergency. I decided it was time for step 2 and turned my phone off. The first call I actually answered was from Dad. His voice was raw, like he'd been shouting, "What did you do? You canceled the whole house." Calmly, I replied, "No, I canceled my booking. It just happened to be the entire booking because it was on my card. You think this is a joke?" He barked. "There are 17 people standing outside a cabin in the snow. You think I'm a joke?" I snapped back and hung up. After an hour, I turned my phone back on. The missed calls and texts were piling up: Mom, Aunt Marianne, Cousin Leo, Emma again, even her boyfriend Zach, who was suddenly part of the family faster than I got a group invite. I didn't reply. I watched because, for once, I wasn't scrambling to fix what they broke. They never counted on me finally putting my foot down. For 3 years, I'd been the one paying for every holiday rental. They'd say, "We'll pay you back." Birthday gifts for cousins were on me. Every time Emma's car broke down, I was the go-to, not because I was her brother, but because I was the default. Mom always said, "You're the responsible one. That's why we lean on you." Nah, I was just the quiet one, the one they thought wouldn't fight back. They treated me like an unlimited credit card. Fake apologies, real lies. By Christmas Eve, they were desperate. Mom texted, "We didn't mean to exclude you. There was a lot going on with Emma's kids and Zach's visa. Please, let's not ruin Christmas." I ignored it. Emma posted on Instagram from some roadside diner near the mountains, with a cup of black coffee, messy hair, and a caption that read, "Family means not always agreeing but always forgiving." I laughed. Her friends were posting sympathetic comments like, "Stay strong babe, and hope things calm down soon." And that's when I saw her private story, one I wasn't supposed to see anymore. A screenshot of the family group chat, without me. The caption was, "He's finally out. Can't believe it took this long." Below it was a photo of the Airbnb refund email I'd gotten. They planned it all. They knew I'd pay for the trip, knew I'd be left out, and thought I'd still pick up the tab. I checked my statements, not just Airbnb. Emma had been using my Netflix, my Spotify, my Amazon Prime, making next-day orders for hiking gear. None of it for me, none of it with me, but all on my dime. Then there was a $780 charge to a ski rental store in Aspen. I'd never even been skiing. They'd used my accounts, my card info, my identity. I screenshotted everything, then checked the family group chat. So, let me take you back to 2 years ago when Emma was practically begging me for help to sort out her debt. It was supposed to be just a 3-month favor. Fast forward a bit, and suddenly, it was like radio silence from her side. That quiet turned into a sort of betrayal. On Christmas night, I decided to post something, not for everyone to see, but just a close friend's story on Instagram. It included a screenshot showing I got my refund, with a little jab saying, "Guess I'm not as invisible as they thought." By the next morning, my inbox was flooded with messages from people I hadn't chatted with in ages. My cousin Leo was like, "Dude, I didn't know you weren't invited. That's messed up. I only went 'cause they told me you couldn't make it." Then Aunt Marianne hit me up in disbelief, "Wait, you were covering all this? I thought your parents sorted the house out." But the real kicker came from Zach, Emma's boyfriend, who's kind of just along for the ride. Zach was super nervous at first when he texted me. Then he spilled the beans. "Man, I didn't know anything about this. Emma said you volunteered for the Airbnb and didn't want to be around people. She said you were fragile." Yeah, fragile, the same word Dad used when I told him I was burned out from work. I guess in their eyes, fragile guys don't hold up in the real world. What Zach told me smashed everything wide open. Emma had been plotting what she called the perfect family trip since October. Her words, not mine. She even dubbed it her Christmas rebrand. New vibe, new family dynamic, which somehow didn't include me. She told Zach she'd handle the Airbnb and then casually mentioned to Mom that I volunteered to pay for it. She never even told anyone I was coming or added me to any of the planning stuff. Zach confided, "Emma said you'd just get in the way and that you wouldn't even notice being left out." I hung up on him without saying another word. That night, I started collecting evidence. A new folder, appropriately named Used, with screenshots of messages, Emma's Instagram stories, and receipts from Amazon and the Airbnb charges. Old messages where they claimed I was part of the family, but I was always the last to know and the first to fork over my credit card. Then, I launched a new tab and began researching chargebacks for Airbnb fraud because I was already plotting my next move. They thought I was gone, just licking my wounds in my tiny apartment, drowning in half-done puzzles and unspoken resentment. But they were so wrong. While they were off frolicking through snowy trails, cheesing for the gram in matching flannels, I was plotting 10 steps ahead. And I could track their every move because Emma, the brilliant planner she is, forgot my Spotify account was still on her phone, showing her GPS location in real time. I watched her blip across the map, cabin, store, trail, and saw their Christmas dinner reservation at 7 p.m., Mountain Hearth Lodge, Aspen Room. I nabbed a reservation at the same lodge, just an hour earlier. Packed my laptop, the used folder, a stack of receipts, and threw on a suit I hadn't worn since my last job interview. It was just me, this simmering rage, and the drive up the mountain. Come 7 p.m., there they were in the Aspen Room. 4 tables pushed together for 17 people, the real family. Obviously, my seat was vacant. I peeked from afar for a second. Mom had this nervous grin, Dad was pouring wine all importantly, Emma was glued to her phone probably counting her Instagram likes, and Zach looked really uncomfortable. Then I made my move, walking over quietly. Forks hung mid-air. "Hey everyone," I said, super casual. "Heard we're having a Christmas dinner?" The place was dead silent. Emma tried to say this wasn't my reservation, but I shot back, "Actually, it is. You're sitting under my name, the one who paid for this lodge package. Check the receipt." Dad stood up, trying to say I was making a scene. I told him, "Nope, just making a point." I opened my laptop, turned the screen to them, and said, "Let's dive into it." I laid out the Airbnb invoice, my name, my card, all $12,500 of it, and the timestamped refund confirmation, followed by Emma's gloating text about me not showing up. Emma tried to chime in, but I simply raised my hand to stop her. I moved on to Amazon orders, hiking gear, ski boots, Emma's new parka, all on my Prime account. Then I turned to my parents, pulling out grocery delivery receipts, the ones they claimed came from their pension. Funny, because my card seemed to disagree. Finally, I dropped the last bombshell, a screenshot of Emma's private post, "He's finally out. Can't believe it took this long." Silence hung in the air thicker than molasses. Mom looked like she'd swallowed. Dad was gripping his jaw so hard, I was worried he'd end up cracking a tooth. Zach slowly got to his feet, cleared his throat, and said, "Yeah, I'm done." Emma was shocked. "What, really?" He just raised his hand, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt, but this is just mean. You used him and lied to all of us for a photo op? Emma stammered, you don't get it. Zach cut her off, oh, I get it all right. I'm not spending another night in that cabin with you guys. You're impossible to deal with. Aunt Marianne whispered something to Mom, and Uncle Leo chimed in, wait, I didn't know you were footing the bill, man. I thought you just didn't want to come. Dad finally lost it, this is why we didn't invite you. You always act like the victim and try to make us feel guilty. I stepped up, no, I act like someone who's tired of paying for the luxury of being ignored. Then I pulled out a portable speaker and hit play. Emma's voice rang out, don't worry, he's used to being left out. He won't even notice. It was a voice memo from a month ago, sent to Zach and saved automatically. Emma lunged for it, turn it off, but I turned it up louder. Mom stood, please, let's talk about this, but I shook my head, no, talking is done. I placed a simple card on the table that read, this dinner was paid for by the one you left behind. Bon appetit. Then I shut my laptop and walked out. Behind me, I heard chairs scraping, a plate clattering, and someone muttering, Jesus Christ. Outside, snow had begun to fall. By the time I got back to the city, my story was already spreading. Zach drove straight home after dinner and made a powerful post, sometimes you find out too late that the people closest to you are capable of orchestrating cruelty as if it's a holiday plan. He didn't name anyone, but people figured it out quickly. I went public the next morning with a thread. No dramatic caption, just the truth. They left for the family trip in 4 cars, 17 people, all sharing one group chat without me. I woke to an empty house, the one I paid for. 2 hours later, I got a message from someone else. He's really not here. OMG, our plan worked. So, I canceled the $12,500 booking and hit play on the truth. I shared screenshots of transactions, the voice memo, the messages, the lodge receipt, and my final dinner table photo, 17 people frozen in silence as I walked away. It blew up with thousands of likes, retweets, and comments. People shared their own stories about siblings who always took advantage, parents who manipulated with guilt, and relatives who only remembered your name when rent was due. One person wrote, you didn't just cancel Christmas, you reclaimed it. Mom messaged me the next evening, please delete that post. People are calling, and we're embarrassed. This wasn't supposed to go public, Dad said I'd gone too far and was thinking of talking to a lawyer. Emma was in tears. I didn't respond. Emma messaged the next day, you ruined everything. I finally replied, no, Emma, I revealed it. The day after Christmas, I uploaded a video. Just me, one chair, white background, calm voice. I didn't want to do this, but you made me the villain before I even knew there was a script. You planned a trip with my money without my name, then laughed when I wasn't there. So here's the truth, not for revenge but for record. I laid out the silent years of being reliable, how they'd used me, excluded me, then tried to gaslight me into silence. I played the voice memo and ended with, if you've ever been left behind, here's your sign, it's not your fault, it's theirs. The video hit 3 million views in a week. They tried to save face. Dad posted a half-hearted apology on Facebook. Families fight, but real men don't air dirty laundry. Uncle Leo commented, should have just invited him. Emma tried to shift the narrative with an Instagram story, people change when you stop letting them manipulate you. I see clearly now, I laughed. She really tried to make herself the victim here. Meanwhile, 3 of my younger cousins, the quiet ones, the ignored ones, messaged me separately, thanking me for saying what they couldn't. One said, I saw myself in your video. I thought I was crazy. Now I know I'm not. That hit me hard. It wasn't just my story, it was a way out. Then came an unexpected offer. A content platform I'd never heard of reached out, wanting to turn my story into a short series. I agreed, but with one condition. I'm not really into the whole fame thing. What I really want is for people like me to feel like they're being noticed. And they got it. But then, out of the blue, an email from a law firm popped up. It wasn't meant for me though, it was for them. Turns out, Emma had dragged my name and financial info into a health insurance application to snag better coverage. Super shady and so against the law. The whole thing had legal trouble written all over it. There was no room for silent generosity anymore. So, on New Year's Eve, I decided to share one last story. I snapped a photo of my apartment, it was all cozy and spotless. There was a glass of wine chilling on the windowsill. I added a caption, this year, I unwrapped the truth and it was better than anything I ever got under the tree. My family didn't give it a thumbs up, but strangers and some unexpected allies sent their hearts. I spent the night solo, watching the fireworks, and honestly, I've never felt freer. By January 3rd, I switched up my number. I didn't give anyone a heads up, no goodbye texts, or just in case you need me stuff. I just let it fade away like an old voicemail on a phone no one remembers to charge. I watched as the last few texts rolled in right on cue. Stuff like, Emma, are you seriously going to erase us? Or Dad, you made your point, now be a man and fix this, and Mom, you're still my son, isn't that what matters most? But no, it didn't. What I finally got, and what burned away all my old excuses, was that I wasn't kept around out of love, but because I was useful. The moment I stopped paying, absorbing, and apologizing, I wasn't family anymore. I was just noise, a problem, a threat to their story. I didn't ghost them. I outgrew them. And then I signed a lease for a new place. It's downtown on the 27th floor with south-facing windows, and not a single spare bedroom or couch big enough for crashing. The first thing I unpacked was a photo of me at some dinner, captured just before I walked away from a table of 17 people. I framed it and hung it in the hallway, not as a trophy, but as a reminder to never beg to be where you're not wanted. It was a message they couldn't ignore. On January 8th, a letter showed up, an actual paper one, from my folks' lawyer. They were worried about their reputation and wanted me to take down any public posts and say that my social media stuff was fictional. It was hilarious. So, I fired back with, my stuff's factual, documented, and protected. If you push this, Discovery is going to bring out bank records, texts, voice memos, and eyewitnesses. Oh, and good luck with that fraud probe on Emma's insurance claim, that wasn't even my doing. I never heard back from that lawyer. I was building something bigger than revenge. Within 6 weeks of going public, I got invites to 3 podcasts, 1 panel about toxic family dynamics, and a shoot in Toronto. I turned most of them down, but did one, the first one. The host asked, "What do you say to people who think blood's thicker than water?" I grinned and said, "Then don't be surprised when your own family tries to drown you." That was the last word on the matter. And then I made a literal sign. I opened up a cozy co-working space on the city's edge. It's for creative types, freelancers, folks who have clawed their way out of messy situations and need a spot to start fresh. I called it Not Included, and underneath, in smaller letters, a place for the ones who got left off the invite. On the grand opening day, I taped something to the front desk. It was a printout of that first message from Emma, "He's really not here, OMG, our plan worked." I framed it under glass with a typed line below, "And now I am." I don't miss them, I miss who I pretended they were. People sometimes ask if I've forgiven them. I tell them I've released them. Not the same thing. I don't hate them or wish them ill, I just don't carry them with me anymore. I ignore unknown numbers, don't check old threads, and don't wonder what I could have done differently, because the truth is, I did everything right and they still left me behind. My last words to them were quiet but final. Christmas card season came early, I sent just one to my parents' house. Inside was a photo of me in front of the Not Included sign. No caption, no return address, just a post-it note that said, "Next time, try paying for your own vacation." I wasn't forgotten, I was erased. But I turned that into my own billboard, and now they get to drive past it every day. But they're not welcome inside, not anymore.